Hello and welcome to the Recursion Cafe, where we play games from the discard pile. In today's game of Unmatched, we have Paul on the left and myself on the right. Paul is playing Tomoe Gozen, a solo ranged hero with 2 movement and 14 health, and when an opposing fighter leaves her zone, she deals 1 damage to that hero. Notably, does not work on sidekicks. And on the right, we have Oda Nobunaga, a melee fighter with 2 movement, 13 health, and 2 honor guards with 6 health each. Oda buffs the friendly fighters in his zone, adding +1 to the value, although he does not benefit from this. So for those of you who watched the previous video, this is round 3 of our blind playthrough, essentially. And now we have an idea of what the fighters can do. We decided to swap over to get a feel for the other side and see what that's like. So here we have Oda maneuvering in to the center to try to get a flank on Tomoe. Tomoe will likely back out and will engage the honor guard without Oda's support. Straight away we have a win as my last battle into the honor guard, which I think might be the best target for the 7 because the honor guards are key to making Oda's deck work. So I'll defend with a battle maneuvers, just about keeping him alive. Battle maneuvers essentially telling you to maneuver, and then if it's then your turn, you get to maneuver again, drawing a card and moving each fighter up to 2 spaces. So it's pretty amusing, that one. And so I will move closer. Unfortunately, I can't flank from the battle maneuvers, so I'll have to maneuver again and then flank with both of my honor guards. The honor guard with 1 health left will strike at Tomoe and does not have the support of Oda because he's not in the same zone. But I feel like it's just important to do anyway. And it's a patience and strategy into Deeds of Valor. Paul thought I was swinging back hard as revenge, but no, instead it was patience and strategy, healing that honor guard back up to 3 health. That feels pretty good, and it only works when flanked, but in this case where I managed to keep 3 fighters on the board, that wasn't such a hard trigger to pull off. So Tomoe will attack that same honor guard again, trying to kill one off, and it's a fearsome strength into Spring the Trap. I am unable to swap with an adjacent friendly fighter because I don't have any, and Paul will decide to swap, ping a damage, so that's 2 damage overall through to my fighter and 1 damage back at Tomoe from the effect of Spring the Trap. So now that same fighter is on 1 health again. Paul is not high in hand count, but is sorely tempted to take out this honor guard, and I think it's a reasonable call. So it's a skirmish, I do not defend, and that's pretty good value for me, having to burn a skirmish out to defeat a 1 health honor guard there, but it does mean I'm a fighter down. There we see the health dial go down to 0, or in this case the word for death in Japanese. And yeah, being a fighter down now makes flanking a lot more difficult, especially on this kind of quite circular map where to get round to the other side is just a lot of maneuvering, often 7 spaces. So here's a boost with a 3 boost card, Fire and Flames, and we'll play Reinforce to get some card draw and gain an action. It's just my honor guard facing down Tomoe because Oda is still climbing the stairs, but it does mean Tomoe is kind of trapped in unless she's drawn her scheme that moves through sidekicks. So here's a lightning and thunder into a flash of steel, so that's 4 into a 2 functionally, and yeah, Tomoe takes 2 damage and the honor guard takes 1 in retaliation. Not too bad of a trade for me. The honor guard still has 5, so can reasonably survive most attacks. And notably at this point, Paul is quite low on cards. Having reinforced just now, it means I'm up on cards, which put some pressure on Paul. That being said, he's just played a piercing shot into battle maneuvers, so everyone's happy. He gets to draw 2 cards, I get to draw a card and move my fighters. One thing we did notice about Tomoe is that she lacks card draw. Her card draw is kind of sunken into 5 cards in her deck, and they're not bad cards, but it just feels like she has to play a lot more cautiously with her hand. So here is a Sun and Moon flanked into Deeds of Valor, and Oda does not give the bonus, so it is just 2 damage that goes through, and of course Deeds of Valor doesn't really help with that at all. So slowly we're chipping away and chipping away. Tomoe's on 8 health and I still have full health with Oda and 5 health with the remaining honor guard. So Tomoe will strike here. I forget which target it is, but it'll become apparent soon. It's a Warrior's Way into Spring the Trap, so no combat damage done. Immediately I could swap, but neither of my fighters are adjacent to each other. That means Paul gets to ping one of my fighters away, and if it's Oda, she will appear next to him and could continue the assault. It was Oda, so I get shunted to the stairs and Oda will appear and then maneuver away quickly. So she's keeping Oda in her zone, meaning that Oda finds it difficult to run, but I think at this point my game plan is just aggression, especially since I have the advantage in cards. Here Oda's swinging himself, and it's a Student of War into a 5 value worthy opponent, so really well defended there by Paul. 5 into 5, no damage done and no cards drawn on my end. Well, there goes the plan of me trying to get Oda involved, but forgetting that Tomoe's cards are really good into the hero. That said, Paul is still backing up because he's low on cards and probably low on options, whereas for me, I'm still trying to get into that flanking position. Paul stays there though, so I will happily take that and run into flank, and the Honor Guard will strike at Tomoe with a Lightning and Thunder that cancels the ability, which wouldn't have fired anyway, so it is a 4 into a 3. Nice and simple, that one. I can move the Honor Guard away after combat, but staying close to Tomoe just seems the best option at the moment. And unfortunately for me, she still has a way out through that blue spot there, in case the map wasn't clear enough. So Paul will double maneuver and smartly keeping Oda in her zone. Oda will have to step up, and the Honor Guard is kind of behind and won't be able to catch up. It's a 5 value student of war into a skirmish, so thankfully for me I do win this one. It's 1 damage through, and I'll get to draw a card. So we're now 5 health on Tomoe, 5 health on the Honor Guard, and a full 13 health for Oda. That said, there is of course healing in Tomoe's deck, so there's a Lord Kiso's final stand. I presume that Paul will move away and take the healing to get some distance and just keep that health up. It still looks like an uphill battle for Paul at the moment, but Tomoe seems really strong and has lots of tricks, so he's by no means out of the game just yet. It is a weird feeling seeing what I think is supposed to be quite an aggressive fighter having to run the whole game, but in this matchup it kind of makes sense, especially with this map, trying to run circles and pick people off. So here is a 6 value momentous shift from the Honor Guard into a 3 value a worthy opponent, because the Honor Guard is not a hero. So that's hitting Tomoe where it hurts, because her ability, a lot of her cards don't trigger into sidekicks, so I'm trying to use that to my advantage, and having Oda boost that just adds such good fundamental value into the sidekick attacks. So here is 5 against thousands into battle maneuvers. I should only be taking 1 damage from that, I believe, and Tomoe could discard a card to put that back into hand, but does not. Yeah, I think we forgot about the +1 buff there, but it happens. So there's battle maneuvers, and then we'll simply just try to catch Tomoe again, which again on this weird circular map is quite difficult, but I think spreading out the net makes more sense than just kind of focusing on one side. That Honor Guard is within kill range though, and if Paul has drawn another 7, then there's not really much I can do about that because I don't have a defense above a 3 really. So we'll attack, we're flanking, and it's a Fire and Flames, so it is a 5 value into Refuse to Retreat, and because the Honor Guard is in Oda's zone, it is a 6 value. I have to discard a card, I will discard a Pragmatism. I think that's because I drew another one and I'm just like, this is kind of the best option at the time. Tomoe is now down to 1 health, and that's a really dangerous place to be. Hopefully Paul has drawn another Lord Kiso's final stand. Not quite the final stand that I was talking about, but there is a 7. And yeah, that's pretty difficult to deal with. But I'm still at full health, and I'll play Spring the Trap, which will eventually ping Paul for 1 damage to close out the game. So there it is. There is round 3 of Tomoe versus Oda, and you know, having swapped round, it was cool to try and remember what I found difficult to deal with and try to play around that, and I'm sure Paul did the same there as well. Overall, really liking these 2 fighters. Tomoe is definitely more my playstyle. I like solo heroes generally a bit more, but Oda makes playing with sidekicks really cool and really engaging because you have to think about how you use them, and I can't wait to see what they're like in different battlefields and against other characters. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time.